Hi, so this is Jeannie, and I have a special guest right now, and he's going to be talking about his process, how he was able to self publish his book. And so, without further ado, his name is Josh Lindquist, right?
That's correct. Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you. I really feel honored and stuff because I looked at your bio and I found out that you're a filmmaker. So,
I
yeah.
am. Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, happy to be here.
So, what drove you to write your book?
I had downtime during the pandemic. We had some pauses in production where things weren't filming, so I had time to work on my creativity. And I'd always had story ideas and always been a huge nerd. And so I had fantasy novel ideas in my head for many years. So during the pandemic, I sat down and wrote them out and did revisions and cranked out. I'm on my third book currently. I've published one book through Amazon KDP, and I just finished last week the complete draft of my second book.
Oh,
So I'm getting
wow.
ready to self-publish that soon after I do, I think, one more rewrite going through the whole thing. So it's been
Yeah.
really fun and exciting, and I really enjoyed the whole process.
Yeah, and speaking about the process, what was your process? Because so most of my listeners are either self-published authors, they're starting out, or some of them are already established. But it's always good to ask a fellow author what their process is for being creative.
Yeah, absolutely. No, my process is when I get stuck with writer's block, I go play Dungeons and Dragons because it forces me to be creative in the flow of the game. So that helps a lot. And yeah, I really just like talking to my friends about what stories resonate with us, what character arcs resonate with us, and
Mhm.
that gets me excited about my own writing. So that's kind of my process. As far as publishing went, it was much easier than I anticipated. I went through Amazon's KDP, and I was able to upload to the digital Kindle version as well as
Mhm.
paperback. Normally, I'd have a paperback to show you, but like I said earlier, I'm at
Mhm.
the house of one of my movie's directors because we were doing stunt rehearsals today. So um, but yeah, no, at Amazon, the way they break down the royalties and everything, it's really, really good system. And um, when I uploaded onto the Amazon KDP, I mean, within 5 or 6 days, I had a hard copy in my hand of my book, which was so special. It was amazing.
Wow. So yeah, you make it sound so easy though, because for writers, there's always a problem, and you mentioned it, writer's block. So, and you mentioned
Yeah,
one of your processes. So, can you share more about like how you just get in the flow of writing?
yeah, totally. First, I'm a morning writer. When I sit down with my coffee, I write best in the mornings. I will write sometimes in the evenings, but usually I'll wake up, have breakfast, get coffee, and then I'll sit and write for 2 to 3 hours, and that's when I get the bulk of my writing done.
Mhm.
And I try to do that, every day that I can when I'm not working on set. And so um, that's my process there. When I hit writer's block, um, one thing that's helped me a lot is I've stopped going back and reading the what I've written before when I sit down to write. Because I caught myself, I would go back and start rewriting and getting into the minutia of what I wrote previously. So now I wait till I've written a full draft and then I'll go back and do rewrites. I don't do it as I go, and that's helped me progress forward a lot and get a lot more on the page.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip. One of my book coaches actually told me, write it ugly. So
Yeah,
just write it ugly, just write it down and just do it ugly, and then you'll
yeah.
just edit it later and just, it's like make sense of it after, but it's just going into that flow. So how many drafts did you have? Like, did you go through? Like, I'm sure there's first draft and then,
I had four drafts for my first book, which is called Exile in the Sand.
Mhm.
That's the one that's currently available on Amazon. If you type in Exile into Sand or my name, Josh Lindquist,
Mhm.
you can find it there. And that one I did four drafts where I wrote one complete draft, and then I read through it again and made a bunch of changes. And then I sent it out to get feedback and went through two more iterations. So there was four drafts total. And for my second book, which is called Galgathor's Gambit, the one that I just finished, it
Mhm.
was actually my second draft. I went through and wrote most of it, and then I stopped, and then because I got busy with work, and then I went back and rewrote all that first part as well as the very last little ending, and then that's what I finished last week.
Yeah, that's good. Did you ever have hire any editors based on what I can tell? No, you just do it yourself. Yeah, spell check,
Yeah,
spell
yeah,
correction.
yeah. I usually rely on the computer for that, and then my own eye going through a second time catches most things. But I don't have any. I want to shout out Diane Hale, my friend,
Mhm.
who is she is a professional editor, and she's just we formed a bond. She's kind of mentored me a lot, and she'll kind of go through and give me feedback for free.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, I haven't had to hire an editor. Yeah, I read her stuff. She sends me, and then she reads my stuff, and it's really cool. And I just have friends that are into writing that we send stuff back and forth, and it's just a good system. So yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
hired an editor yet.
Yeah, because you're in the movie industry. I'm sure you have a lot of scriptwriter friends too, right? Script
Yeah,
doctors, script writers. Yeah.
yeah, and I also do write screenplays. I've written since the pandemic started. I've written 3 feature-length screenplays that I'm
Wow.
hoping to sell, and 2 of them I'm hoping to produce myself. Actually, so that's we've actually recently in the last couple of weeks done table readings with actors for those, and those have
Wow.
gone really well. So it's fun to see the words come to life.
Are they actors that we know, like, or just well-known actors? Are you allowed to
They're
tell?
they're up and coming actors. Yeah, we
Oh,
had Rashad Hunter played a role. Emily Joy Sanchez played a role. These are all up and coming actors. Patrick Berman, who's been another movie I produced, great actor. He's participated. Award-winning filmmaker Drew Smith read a couple roles in my last screenplay, and that was super fun, and
mm.
gave me feedback on the script. So yeah, I've made a lot of great connections. It's been awesome. Been a real blessing.
So that's great though, because you're a creative, you do movies, and so you write. So it's not much of a stretch for you. But what do you tell people that are not in the industry, creative industry? So how can you encourage them to just follow their passion in writing? Because yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It is hard, but I had the pleasure before he passed away of meeting Stan Lee, the legendary, creator of so many superheroes of Marvel. And his advice was, he said, if you like writing, just do it as much as you can. Write every day. So that's what I try to do. Is even if I just write a little bit, I write every day, and I've followed that advice not perfectly, but as best I can. And it's really helped me. Once the pandemic started, I said, I have no excuse. I'm going to follow Stan Lee's advice, and I just started writing every day, and it's been great since then.
Yeah, you're really lucky. You've met Stan Lee. Like I'm a huge Marvel fan. Like I would
Yeah,
do
me too.
comic, I would do comic cons and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
you're really lucky to be in that space where you have a lot of people that are creative and that's just supporting you. Do you have any advice for people that, their family probably is not supportive of their creative pursuits, and then they're just telling them like, oh, that's not going to lead to, you know, anything good?
I'd say don't listen to them. I'd say keep going for what makes you happy, and um, make sure that it can be a challenge in the film industry to get steady work because a lot of it is project to project.
Hmm.
So when you're freelancing, that can be a pretty significant challenge. But yeah, you find a way to work around other jobs and just make sure that you're getting started. And once you get where you're getting consistently hired on projects, you can put all those other side jobs off to the side and just focus on creative work. So I'd say go for it. If whether it's obviously it's better if you have your family's support, but um, if you're creative and you're good at what you do and you love what you do, you're not going to have to do it for free forever, and you can start making money and making a living off of it. And it's the most gratifying thing that I've experienced. So
Yeah, definitely. I can attest to that. Um, so you mentioned something about what you call that you have like side jobs and um
yeah,
so
I've
you
done like some ghostwriting, some freelance
Mhm.
ghostwriting. I used to work a corporate job in Colorado before I kind of fully committed to the film industry and moved out here. So I had that for a while, kind of where I would, when I had time off, work on small film sets and stuff in Colorado to build up my resume and my experience. So But when I was ready, I moved to California and just went for it, and did freelance writing on the side. Did some work, doing corporate writing, which is not as exciting and fun, but helps pay the bills. So
It's still writing. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, it helps make me a better writer when I have to really tailor what I'm writing to make it fit this corporation's needs and be very crystal clear on what their intentions are. So it helps.
Yeah, I think I read your bio on Amazon and it says you're from Colorado Springs.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's where
we
I grew up, and it's a great place.
yeah, we lived there for a bit. I'm a traveling healthcare worker or was a traveling healthcare worker. He's been there, so that's his favorite bacon, my
Oh,
dog. That's his favorite. We hike there, Red
oh,
Rock.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Rocks is great.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
their
it's
stomping
fantastic.
ground. I know it's a really nice place, Pikes Peak.
Yeah,
Um,
Pikes Peak is beautiful.
yeah. Were you able to go on the top? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
a couple
I
times. Yeah, it's great.
I ate the donuts at the very top.
Yeah,
They
they're
said
good donuts.
they are good donuts. They said they're one of the best donuts in the world. I'm like, I gotta try this. And then it is really good.
I wonder if because they're baked at such high altitude, that makes them more airy and flavorful.
Yeah, because I still
Yeah,
remember the cinnamon taste. I think so. Yeah.
yeah, pretty neat stuff.
I
Yeah, the view
know.
the view from up there is just amazing.
It is. It's like yeah, it reminds me of like fantasy movies and stuff, like where you're on a quest,
Yeah,
Yeah. It's really and
oh, so cool.
I can understand growing that since you grew up in such a really Colorado is a pretty state. So yeah. So it will like it is an inspiring place. And I'm sure, a lot of creatives like get their juices flowing, from that place. And especially California too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and like you said, moving out to Los Angeles has been the greatest decision ever because I'm surrounded by other people who are also creative. So the number of connections you can make and the number of people you can meet and exchange ideas with, I love to collaborate. Being in film, and so that's been just a really amazing opportunity that I've had. So yeah, I moved out in 2019, just before the pandemic. So
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah,
So you guys had the lockdown and stuff like that.
that's when I got most of my writing done. So
Yeah. So that's
yeah.
when that's how I stopped traveling too during the pandemic. So you mentioned earlier too that so you said you have periods in your work where you have like lulls, like you can write, and then so basically do you have other are you juggling other jobs or other stuff that you're doing right now, or is it just mainly writing and then like doing films?
It's mainly writing and doing films. I run my own podcast also, which has been
Oh.
fun. I've been doing that for the last couple months. Yeah, I'm currently producing a feature-length independent film called Seeking Justice. That's going really
Mhm.
well. And then I consult on other projects. And then I just started working on I guess it's kind of a short film. I can't really get into the details of it because it's still in production, but it's kind of a new media experimental film. So I'm really excited to be part of that as well. But yeah, it's mainly been working remotely as often as I can, and then times where I'm working on set. And I've also gotten into acting recently just for fun. So I take
Wow.
acting classes and I do auditions when I can. So I've had the opportunity to be on a few film sets as either a background actor or featured background. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, I'll try to take a look. Is it on IMDb and stuff? You're
Yep, I think I'm almost at 50 IMDb credits. I'm getting close. I've worked on
Oh,
quite a few projects because when I started out in the industry, I was a production assistant, so that was my main hustle for a couple of years before I got into producing. So,
yeah. Is there any movie in particular where you're like walking by and stuff? You said you did the
oh yeah, I was recently in not recently, I guess it was during the pandemic. I was in Rob Lowe's 911 Lone Star as a wedding guest with food
Oh,
poisoning. So I had to run around holding my stomach, like acting all sick. It was fun. So
yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that. That's so cool.
yeah, just
Yeah,
great suit holding his stomach. That's me. So
definitely. I think I'm gonna. Google that. I'm sure it's on YouTube and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So since you juggle a lot of things right now, so some people, especially like people that want to get into writing or any endeavor, they always say like, "Oh, I'm too busy. I can't pursue this. I can't do this. I'm juggling this and that." So basically, you've proven that even with multiple projects, having like a side gig here, side gig there, like doing like acting jobs, movies, and then still have time to write three books now. So
Well, the third book is still in progress. I'm about a
yeah,
third of the way through it. So yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so
But
how
no, thank you.
can
That's
yeah, go ahead.
no, thank you. I appreciate the compliment there. It really is just a lot of time management and um, just really, I enjoy the process. I enjoy writing. I enjoy when there's that great feeling when you've written something and it's like completed and you can show it to people, and that's the best. But I also, during the writing, I have fun with it. It's an exciting process, and I just make sure I do it as often as I can.
So you don't have any deadlines like I gotta finish my third book by March or April, and I have to self-publish, and like you don't have that kind of schedule, or you don't push yourself too hard.
On days where I'm not on set, I try to do 1,500 words a day, and that's really the only deadline I put on myself. So
Yeah, I think that's a good tip. And actually, one writer I was following said you have to write at least 1,500 or 2,000, or you set that limit where you have to get to those words like 1,000 or 2,000 words every day. Doesn't matter, but you just have to aim for it, for that consistency. But they also, this particular writer also spoke about also giving like themselves a break. So do you have that break in your writing where you're just not doing anything related to writing, or you're just like resting? Do you have that as well?
I do, and I have to get better at doing it more often because it
Mhm.
it helps me recharge creatively for sure. But yeah, last Sunday I didn't write at all. I took a day just to lay in bed and do nothing, and it was amazing. But yeah, I think writing 6 days a week is super healthy. I do tend to write more than that, but yeah, it's good to take rests and not. I think it was C. Robert Cargill. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he's got some really good writing tips. He was the
Mhm.
guy who wrote the screenplay for like Doctor Strange and Doctor Sleep. He's a really good horror writer.
Mhm.
But he was saying, you want to make sure you have deadlines that you can meet on a regular basis, because if you're having these higher deadlines or these higher word goals that you can't meet, it can burn you out and discourage you, and that's kind of counterproductive to the writing process.
So you also have to have goals, but you also have to have reachable goals. Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Oh.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, you're right about setting like a cap or a limit to, or a minimum of the number of words you write in a given day. I think based on that, that's why you've produced two books and a third one, because of that consistency of just writing, you know, 1,500 words for 6 days, as you said, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you're
no, and it's been really exciting to see it come to fruition, and actually become a reality.
so that's good. Yeah. And actually that's what I've been aiming for as well, because I used to follow that before, where like I really have to finish like for me, because I have a full-time job as well in the morning and doing healthcare. I did that goal where I have to really write 2,000 words per minute, and I'm not going to leave like until I finish that. But when I stopped doing that, I realized that, you know, you are right. Having setting that goal is really important, and sticking to that goal, and but making it achievable so that you're not discouraged. That's a really good tip. That's really good. I love it.
Thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, it's been really helpful for me. So
Yeah. And so I have just a few more questions, but
Yeah,
where
happy to answer.
where where do you get your inspiration from?
Definitely just being a fan of pop culture and nerdy things myself. You know, when I was a kid, I fell in love with Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. That was my introduction to fantasy. Growing up, loving Star Wars. You know, just getting into all kinds of different stories, and I've just always enjoyed telling people a story and seeing them react to it genuinely. You know,
Mhm.
where you can make them feel excited or thoughtful or you know, just really helping them escape from reality and dream bigger and experience something else outside of their normal. It's just always appealed to me. So that's kind of been my inspiration. Is I do like to, in the overarching themes of my book, have values that I hold personally kind of show through, like really big on, you know, peace and, you know, love and getting rid of um, kind of all the problems that our world has today in terms of just all the stuff going on. You know, I'm big on inclusivity in my books, just having a world where prejudices are minimalized because it's fantasy. It should be fun, you know. So I really like um, kind of counteracting those things that are unfortunately a reality in our world, to show that stories can exist without those things and it's attainable to not have them, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's the wonder of storytelling. So you create this different world, and as you mentioned, it's something different from our daily reality. And sometimes we need to unplug from, this toxic reality that we've created as human beings, and just yeah, to plug into things that or worlds that are appealing and to our imagination. So, yeah, I'm the same
Yeah,
way. Yeah, I just love fantasy movies as well. Yeah, especially.
yeah. I'm trying as a producer to get to the level where I can make epic fantasy movies. They're just so expensive to make, and there's so much that goes into them. You know, it's. I wish Hollywood had more of them, but they are hard to produce. Like
Yeah, and
Lord of the Rings is like, from a filmmaking standpoint, Lord of the Rings is like mind-blowingly amazing what they achieved with that trilogy.
I know, and I read somewhere or I saw a video on YouTube that actually they even like reduced the cost of production. And so it was actually even more like it was supposed to be bigger, but then they didn't have that budget. I think New Line Cinema didn't have enough budget for his vision. So they just decided, you know what, we're going to film back to back so that we can save money, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we're just gonna like trim it down a bit, but he did compromise on some of his creative pursuits, but at the same time he did still create a masterpiece. Oh, yeah.
He
And
really did, and I think that that constraint is actually really important to the filmmaking process. It can be incredibly frustrating when you're trying to make something and you're running into budgetary issues, or you're having oversight saying, "Hey, we just can't do this. We've got to do something else." But that makes you have to like get creative and work around. And a lot of the times, um, I've found that a lot of movies where there is that collaboration and that oversight and those constraints tend to be better than when the movies do popular, like get really popular and have sequels and get tons more money. They tend to not have as much impact because the directors weren't reined in as much. Like if you look at the Hobbit trilogy compared to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I still very much enjoyed the Hobbit films, but the Lord of the Rings trilogy is like much better. And I think that's because they had lower budget, they had more constraints, and they had to be more creative with how they did things. You know?
mhm. Yeah,
So,
like hiring like like I think they hired like small kids and stuff like to shoe in for like the hobbits and stuff, but then they had to
oh,
film
that's
them.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
film
like
them far away. They did so many cool camera tricks. It's amazing.
I know. Yeah, and just so that they could actually, save more money. But yeah, it's based on what I realized, it's not really about the budget. I mean, even in writing, it's about the storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's about having character arcs that are impactful that the audience can follow along with, and really connect to, and just go for an adventure and distract from reality and experience something new.
Yeah, definitely. So, Josh, where can the people that are listening and watching this, where can they um, find you, like on the World Wide Web?
Yeah, I mean, just searching my name, it's Josh, and then my last name is spelled Lindquist. There's not too many of us Josh Lindquist around, so I'm pretty easy to find with just a Google search. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Josh Lindquist BP. My first production company was called Burnham Wood Productions, so I have the little BP on my Twitter handle as well. Is J Lindquist
Hmm.
BP.
Hmm.
And then if you just search my name on YouTube, we have a channel there with my podcast, as well as if you like Dungeons and Dragons, there's tons of videos about that. So,
Hmm.
and then I'm on TikTok as well, also Josh Lindquist BP on there as well.
And then also you're on Amazon. I think I have your link, and
Yes.
I'll make sure to post it on my show notes as
Oh,
well.
thank you.
Yeah. So you've been really, I really enjoyed this interview though. You've been really, like, it's a very interesting interview. You're the first, you know, movie, movie maker that I've interviewed so far. That's also into writing. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. And you ask really good questions. This has been a super fun interview.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
yeah, and for anyone who's listening or watching, please do check out Josh Lindquist, and he's super fun to interview. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. It's been a great podcast.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much.